I lost my job. Jeremy lost his. We didn't know what we were going to do and we had bills to pay. So I started cleaning houses and, it was a quick, easy way and easy entry point to a business.
Hello and welcome to the Stroke It podcast. I'm Jenny Townsend, your host. Thank you for joining me. I'm so excited for you to be inspired to live your life fully, to take ownership of your time, your schedule, and your life, but most importantly, learn and grow and develop personally and professionally. Myself and others are going to share life lessons that we've learned through leadership, through heartache, through pain, through struggles, and we'll be sharing some success stories with you as well. Super eager for you to dive in, learn, and grow. And once again, just take ownership of your life today.
Hello, and thanks for tuning in to the Stroke It podcast. I'm Jenny Townsend, your host. Today, I have Stefanie Overturf, who's going to be joining me today on the podcast. We were just talking, and it looks like we met in 2012, and she started her own company. I have my own company. So we've been moving and shaking it on the Suncoast for several years, and I'm excited for her to share her expertise. She's a best-selling author, a passionista. Her and her husband have been running a company and they recently sold it. So she's going to tell us a little bit more about that. And Stefanie is passionate for helping others learn how to market, network, and become their best self. So Stefanie, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me today, Jenny. I'm excited.
So obviously I gave a little bit of insight of who you are, but definitely share with our listeners who you are, maybe what season of life you're in, and tell us what you're going to be sharing with us today.
Okay. So yeah, like you said, we recently sold our business. We actually started that business during the big recession. So that was definitely scary. That's a whole story in itself. But yeah, we had it for 15 years and recently I think my husband was ready 3 years ago to sell, but I was ready, probably about a year ago now. And so we kind of listed it, saw what happened, and here we are. We sold it March 16th of this year. And we're definitely in a new season of life, kind of trying to find our new purpose and realize what we want to do with this kind of like second half of our business life in general. And so we're going to be doing a lot of traveling. We've got some new ideas for, helping others do what we did, because as we all know, running a small business is not easy, especially once it starts to grow and you add other people, employees into the mix. So we have some ideas on how we can help others. And so that's kind of where we're going. We're definitely doing some traveling right now, spending time with my daughter. And that's where we're at right now. As far as a season of life, I would say it's kind of like a pivot, something new happens and you have to kind of like figure out what you're going to do next. Yeah. I feel like, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and how old is your daughter?
She'll be 5 in August. So she's young and, it's just such a fun age. And so she likes to travel. She likes to go on cruises and do stuff. So yeah.
That's awesome. So obviously the mortgage crisis was going on. You were laid off of your job and you decided to start a flooring company. So was that something that you always wanted to do, was start your own business, or did you just start a business because there was no other option and you found a niche?
Yeah. So no, I don't think anybody dreams about owning a carpet cleaning company. You're not like 10 years old in school saying, when I grow up, I'm going to be a carpet cleaner. So, but it definitely was born out of necessity. I lost my job. Jeremy lost his. It was like, we didn't know what we were going to do and we had bills to pay. So kind of what happened was I started cleaning houses and, it was a quick, easy way and easy entry point to a business that you could get cash today, So I started cleaning houses and my clients would ask me if I knew a good carpet cleaner and I didn't. And so we kind of saw a need there because we served a high end here in Southwest Florida. There's so many people that are retired, wealthy retirees. There's a market because they want a high-end service, someone that they can trust coming into their home. So they didn't want to use like a mainstream carpet cleaner per se. They wanted someone that was going to give them like a higher level of service, even if it cost more money. So that was kind of the need that we saw. So we said, we can fill that. And maybe there's a business here. I feel like my husband always had an entrepreneurial mindset. He's always kind of like dabbled with things on the side and stuff like that. So it's kind of easy for him to say like, oh, well, we can just do our own thing. And me, I looked for a job. Even when I was cleaning houses, I would come home and look for a job because that's just how I was trained and that's what I knew. But once it started growing, we just saw that it was a good opportunity and started adding team members a few years down the road, and it just kind of snowballed.
That's awesome. So you didn't
Yeah.
necessarily have any training per se in starting a company, or did
No,
your
we didn't.
husband? You just
No,
launched and did it.
we did. We just did it. Yeah. That's one of the
Well,
things I always tell people is just go for it.
yeah, I think it's inspirational as well. And I think if you think of the time of COVID when everyone got laid off, that was a time for people to recreate their future or
Hmm.
redesign it or to do something they've always wanted to do but never could because of the money and for a variety of things. And, when I think of Music Compound 2, that kind of idea, I didn't actually start it then, but that idea came about after I got laid off. I was in the real estate market as well. So it's super cool when you turn something so negative and scary into
Right.
a fantastic future, and there's a great opportunity there as well. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. And I'm really proud of you. I know you've won a lot of awards for being entrepreneur, women in business of the year, 40 under
Hmm.
40 as well. You were going to say something?
Yes. Oh no, I was just going to agree with you. I feel like that was one of the things really like during the recession. It was like in 2000, it was similar to COVID. It was like, well, nobody's going to take care of us. We don't, we're not from wealthy families. We don't have anything to fall back on. Like, what do we have to lose at this point? So it was like, just, okay, well, we can do this and let's go for it. And it's working, so.
Right. And that sense of like risking it all when you don't really have much, you can really go full on as
Right.
well. What fears did you guys have when you were navigating or starting this company?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe like of not being good enough. I think when you come from whatever your everybody has a story, whatever your background is, whatever you came from, anytime that you do something that's different than your family or different from your friends, what they're doing, and there's a lot of fear. So maybe like fear of rejection, fear that I'm not good enough. Who am I to be leading a team of other people? And I'm an employee. I'm not a boss. I'm young. I was young when we started, that was 15 years ago. I'm 39 now. So, I mean, I was young. I had very limited experience. So a lot of that, but I think most of it led, like the deep down root was probably fear.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, fear of not being able to pay your bills as well,
Mm-hmm.
leads to drive and you work hard. And what's interesting is you took this fear and this uncertainty, started cleaning houses, no idea that you were going to actually end up having a business that you were going to sell 15 years later for a
Right.
nice chunk of change. And that is absolutely amazing. I would
Yeah.
love for other people to do that as well.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people have fear or they need the sense of security. They're
Yeah.
not wanting to quit their good paying job because once
Mm-hmm.
again, they have more risk and more to lose than to gain. So that's awesome.
It's definitely harder when you already have a job. I have some friends who have done things on the side and kept their job. And it's like, or like, even if you watch Shark Tank, it's funny because, being a business owner, you like a lot of those shows and you can kind of recognize things. But I want to say it was Mark Cuban. He always makes a big deal about if the people still have their jobs because you don't have enough skin in the game to him, right? Like,
Right.
if you don't eat, if you don't get groceries, and I'm not even saying that, like, it was legit. If we didn't go clean houses today, we did not have food, right? So I feel like there's something to be said for somebody who goes all in. If you go all in and you're like, I'm going to make this work. And I always thought it was interesting that even he recognized that, because it was like, oh, you have your other job. Like, you're not giving me 100%. You're not
You have the
full
backup
in.
plan. The
Yeah.
backup,
Something.
when you have a plan B, your
Mhm.
mindset is not the same where this has to work.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's where we were throughout the whole business, even years later, even a couple of years ago, like with COVID and stuff, it's like, well, we're not just going to shut the doors. Like, we have to figure out if people don't want us coming in their homes, well, how can we do this? So we figured out a way to, well, you can put your rug outside and we'll just come pick it up, Mrs. Jones, and call you for payment. We don't have to even see you, and we'll drop it back off the same way. So it was like, you just, when you're an entrepreneur and like, this is your life, you figure it out. You figure out ways to make things happen. And we didn't lay anyone off during COVID. Everybody in our company, and we had probably 15 people at the time, they all got at least like 35 hours. If they wanted less, they could, but we didn't lay anyone off. Our clients worked with us and still had us come in and clean. We were cleaning, so that actually helped because, sanitizing and stuff. But so, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm really proud of you and thank you for being here as well. And I'm excited to kind of break down the concept of the podcast, which is Stroke It with You. And I want to get inside your brain and I want you to share some really great tips and tools. And feel free to share any struggles or any challenges that you've had that maybe our listeners can learn from. And I love starting with the love languages because I think a lot of our effort is based on understanding people's love languages or how they receive messages, how they receive praise, validation. And that goes professionally and personally speaking with all your relationships. So your love language is gifts, right?
Yes.
Okay. At what stage of your life did you learn about the love languages?
Gosh, when I feel like that book was popular for a while, maybe like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago or something. A lot of people were talking about it and I had never heard of it. And I'm still not like I don't have like a ton of knowledge about it, but I do know that that was my gift. And I can tell you that, on my anniversary and my birthday, I want a gift. So I want something to open, so that was probably when I first learned about it. It was maybe like 8 or 9 years ago.
Okay. And did you share your love language with any of your managers or anybody in your family to where they knew to get you gifts if they wanted to validate, show love?
My husband for sure. He knows. I don't know if I directly shared it with anyone that worked for us or anything. No, I don't think I did. Not directly anyway.
Well, that's probably,
maybe.
Yeah, that's probably awkward too, to be like, you work for me. I love gifts. If you want raises or if you want anything, just bring me gifts.
Yeah.
That may be a little uncomfortable.
I don't know how that
would
work
sure.
out.
Well, the reason I asked that too is I've incorporated into our company as well.
Okay.
So I'm educating all of our team members on the love languages because number one, we do summer camps and we work really closely together. So if someone does a really great job, they know that they can bring them something if it's gifts or if it's acts of service, they can get there early to set up and help them and vice versa. Or if they're having a really bad day, they know how to show appreciation or bring a smile to their face. So we have incorporated the love languages into our company. And when I had 2 managers, they had different love languages. So rewarding them or bonuses were very, very different as well. Yeah. So I love to bring it into the professional realm of things. However, I stay away from personal touch because you don't want to do that in the business world.
Right. That'd be a whole other conversation.
Totally. So, okay, so let's get into talking about what you do to help with your personal growth, with your overall happiness and how you live life and how you are motivating yourself. So it looks like maybe mindset is key to you. So break that down, what mindset means to you and how you're keeping a positive mindset and moving forward.
Okay. So this is something that I do really like to talk about because it's so important and a lot of people don't really ever consider it, but everything kind of starts with you. If you're having a bad day, you need to think about where are you at mentally. And like I said earlier, everyone has a story. We all have a past where we came from, our childhood, whatever it is. And I don't think we quite realize how much of an impact it can have on us on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So I'm not going to go into a lot of it here, but my childhood was okay, but my parents weren't around. And they had their own things they were pursuing, their own lives they were leading. And unfortunately, it didn't involve me and my sisters. So for me, I didn't think it bothered me. I thought I was fine. I thought I turned out just fine until I was probably 24 and it just hit me. And I was like, wow, everything stems from those things that happened when we were kids. I felt abandoned. I felt not all these times that I felt not good enough, the low self-esteem, things like that. It was not that anyone did anything to me when I was a kid, but it was those emotions and the mental things really can have an impact on you. And it can hold you back from promotions. It can hold you back from making a big sale. When we started, a couple of the services in our company were high ticket items. We would have one of our technicians working on an airplane, a private jet with a 12 to 15% sale. So for me, somebody who didn't have the low self-esteem or the hard emotions to get over as a kid, that might not be hard for them. But for me, if I had to quote that price to a client, that was oh gosh, who am I to ask for this much money? So yeah, so we had to do a lot of work once we realized it. And, I say we because Jeremy had he had his own things too from his childhood that made him have low self-esteem and whatnot. Once we started learning about it and how our mindset and taking control of your own emotions, we don't blame other people for it. What happened. happened. My parents were them, me yelling at them, me telling them they were horrible. It's not going to fix anything. It's not even going to make me feel better. What's going to make me feel better is taking responsibility for my own feelings, my own mind, my own emotions, and making them better on a daily basis. So it's a daily basis thing. You don't do it once. I did a lot of work with like emotional freedom technique. It's called EFT, or tapping emotions on your pressure points. So
I
have
had
you
a
heard of it?
guest on my podcast. Actually, she did
Oh,
this whole tapping exercise.
I love it. I'll have to
Her
look for
name was
that one.
Jennifer Merritt. She was on one in the past, and it was all about tapping into
Yeah.
those emotions. And she was telling us
Mhm.
all about the process. But feel free to tell our listeners that didn't listen to that one
Yeah.
about it too.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look that one up because oh my gosh, it's huge. So just a couple of examples, I used to get really bad headaches and like migraines and stuff. So anyway, what you do is you basically like recognize, oh, I have this emotion of this headache. And, you don't even have to go deep with it. You can if you want, but a simple thing to do is to you have pressure points like in your temple here on the side of your eye. I don't know if the video will be here, but anyway, and then under your eye, there's like a few places you can tap to. And you basically just say, even though I have this headache, I still completely and fully accept myself. Even though I have this headache, I completely and fully accept myself. And these are the pressure points, right? And you just keep saying it and keep saying it and doing it until you feel better. And it's crazy, and you know what? Maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but for me, it works. And even the other night, I was like, what was wrong with me? Oh, I was telling you earlier, the doctor was like, oh, your blood pressure is high. Jeremy says, did you tap for your blood pressure? I'm like, no, I didn't. Let me do that, So anyway, that's what you do. But I feel like a lot of it is just kind of recognizing that you have this and speaking it out. I'm big on speaking things to the universe. And I think once you put it out there and you're like, oh, I still accept myself. I don't need this headache. I'm going to put this headache out there. I don't need it. It can leave me,
Right.
So that's just kind of it in a nutshell. There's so much more to it, but that was definitely one of the huge things that we used. I also did hypnosis. We did hypnosis for a few things. We listened to motivational things. Zig Ziglar. Oh my gosh. His courses on self-esteem are he came from nothing too. Talk about somebody who has low self-esteem. For him, what he became, it makes me have the chills like just saying it, because his stuff, if you've never listened to him, his motivation, he's got so many different topics. He was a world-renowned salesperson, motivational speaker, but anything you listen to from him, he'll talk about like your self-esteem and how you're good enough and God don't make junk. Everybody is, he wants his people to be successful. Look at all of the wealth he gave Job, so there's like some biblical stuff in it too. So you have to take what you want from it. But anyway, my husband had been listening to him since he was young, like maybe early teens. And so he introduced me to Zig Ziglar. And so we would listen to it in the car ride. If we were driving to Nashville or something, you're here for 10 hours, we're going to listen to this. So things like that are really what helped us kind of do that. But it's a daily thing, that definitely helped right away to get over some stuff and get a better positive mindset. But daily, I don't watch the news. I mean,
Yeah.
People have given me crap about that before, but I just can't. For me personally, it puts me in such a bad place. I'll just keep looking and I'll just keep, oh my gosh, well, what happened there?
Right.
That's huge
And I
for
understand
me.
the daily practice is huge. And I believe in a lot of the stuff that you're talking about. And there's a lot of stuff that I do on a daily basis too. And obviously, I'm sure you tell people that are going through challenges like, hey, perhaps you could try this or consider doing this.
Yeah.
So how did you create that mindset to incorporate it on a daily basis? Like, was it there a need or you just added it to your calendar? Like, talk us through how you made this a priority and how you get to do that every single day.
It's hard because especially once I had a kid, oh my gosh, like your time is just gone, I would say probably right away, it was so powerful to me that I just remembered. I also would put little signs up around, like at my desk, I would have a sign or like a positive quote, whatever it is. I even set reminders on my phone. I would set reminders to, did you write out your affirmations? Did you write out whatever it is? And just have it in your car, because it's easy to get in your car and to just let the radio play or whatever the music is, and I'm not great about this anymore, but back then when we first started kind of conditioning ourselves. Jeremy was great about that. He would have it just, the CD was already in there playing. So just kind of like set yourself up for success in that respect. Like just have it there, easily accessible. Don't bring it in the house, because then if you're in the car, oh, well, I don't have it, put it on your phone so it just automatically starts playing when you get in, that kind of thing. But now I'm not as needing it daily, I guess. I don't need it as, what am I trying to say? Like, I don't need it like every single morning.
Right.
It's more become a part of just who I am. Like if I find myself getting into like a negative frame of mind or whatever, I'll just like kind of check myself, or having a partner that is also into it is helpful, because he'll check me. What's up with you? Like, why are you being so negative or whatever, So that's having like an accountability partner is huge too. Yeah.
It really is. And so much of what you're saying is true. It's a lot of it about the mindset, and we are responsible for our mindset, and we have to take ownership of it. And I see so many people like blaming this partner or blaming this. And I'm like, no, just honestly, you could take 2 minutes out of your day to just even take a couple deep breaths, or even just speak really positively to yourself and stop with the negative chatter. But there's so much negative chatter that's been built for so many years, and there's all these beliefs, and it's really hard to retrain your brain and change your habits to be a better person for yourself. It takes a huge commitment. It's easy to take care of everybody else and not yourself.
It is. And one of the big things too that is definitely really hard for people is you have to just like remove any of those negative things from your life. Like I said, the news was huge for me, but also people. And you know what? This is the hardest one. It's the hardest one, because some of those people are your family, and some of them are close. Maybe they're close friends. They're people you've known forever, but they're negative and they bring you down. One of them, I won't say who it is, but somebody very close to me was my kind of like trigger for my headaches. And it was because every single time I would check in with them every day, and I would just hear negativity, all the drama in the family, all of that. And it was like, maybe other people can handle that from you, but I can't. When you do that to me, my heart's heavy. I have a lump in my chest because I'm stressed now. I physically couldn't hear it as often. So you know what? Sometimes those are the hard choices that you have to make, but sometimes you just have to separate yourself from the people that are like that. And that's not easy.
It's not easy at all. And then too, I've had to do that as well, like through different stages, so depending on the family member or the friends. And I'm sure as you were becoming successful with your company too, you probably had friends that you thought were your friends and then were no longer your friends. And even with family, like I had to stop answering certain phone calls, or I had to cut down the time that I was going to be interacting with those individuals. So I call certain people back when I'm in the car. And it's when I know I have 10 minutes and they get frustrated. They are not really happy about it, but I don't have time in my day or the energy to listen to you complain to me for 10, 15, or 20 minutes about all the negativity when I have so many positive things going on in my life. I'm sure you have something positive to share. Let's focus on that.
Right.
I get that. I mean, everyone has a shit show of a life, but if you're going to connect and take someone's time, I think you should be adding value to them and being positive. But then again, it's like my word was listening 1 year. So I spent so much time listening, and I was like, oh my God, I'm listening to people say the same thing they were saying 3, 4, 5 years ago, and they've not made any changes.
Right.
That's a struggle too.
It is. And, it's, that's hard because, you definitely want to be a good listener and listen when people need you. And I'm not saying like, don't be a friend, if someone needs me,
right.
I'm there, like I will be there to help you. But it's those people who is just every single time, the type, like you just have to just be like, okay, I'll give you, like you said, my 10 minutes this is your 10 minutes for the next 3 months. So you should make good use of it. Do you really want to complain the whole time, So yeah.
Exactly. All right. Yeah. Well, I love what you're saying about mindset coaching and just incorporating some daily tasks into your life to enhance it. And I always tell people, like, you are number one. Like, take care of you before you take care of anyone else. And it's foreign to a lot of people. And depending on the relationship too, I needed to probably just shut the front door and walk away and shake my head and say, okay, see you later. Yes. So anyways, okay, so let's talk about spouses, because you're married, you were working with your husband. God bless you. My parents ended up in a divorce because of that. My husband and I have started a company together, and God bless you. So first of all, tell me what your husband's love language is.
So his is acts of service.
Okay.
So
And so do you have any examples of things that you
Mhm.
do daily or weekly that he feels love and appreciation?
Yes. So it's our personalities are so different. I don't know if you've ever studied like personality profiles, but if you're at all familiar with DISC, he is a D and I am an S. So we're complete like polar opposites, which is actually okay for a marriage if you
Are you looking to enhance your relationship with yourself? If so, get the Stroke It Guide. My book is available on Amazon and on my website. Not only is my book going to help you with your personal journey with yourself, but it's also going to help you with the relationships of other stakeholders in your life. For instance, your spouse or partner, your employer, your employees, your friends, or your family members. And of course, because the title, there is a chapter for your pleasure, which is the last one, in the bedroom. The book offers lots of great tools and resources. There's a lot of great downloads, and it features many of my podcast guests, and they have thousands of downloads and resources that are worth a lot of money. So you're going to want to get my book today. You can buy that on Amazon or on my website, and you can change and take ownership of your life today with one simple click.
can figure it out. But yeah, so he's acts of service. So basically, in our personal life and also professionally, I had to learn that he didn't necessarily want gifts. He likes gifts, but he likes it more if we have to call and complain about something or get a refund or call the internet company because we need to cancel because we're switching providers. He wants me to do it. That's an act of service for him. He hates stuff like that, so he wants me to, even in this new kind of business that we're doing together, my role is to interact with people and do that stuff. Like that's an act of service to him because for him, that's not his favorite thing to do. He likes to be behind the scenes working online, doing the computer stuff. And, so an act of services to him is if I know that we need to call the internet company or Verizon or whatever it is, just do it because that to him is going to mean more than me buying him something,
Right. So as you're saying this, I'm thinking in my head, this is why you were able to work together so well for so many years because you are opposite. You understand each other's strengths and weaknesses and what one likes to do and what the other one doesn't, which makes you a great team. So for those that are working with their spouses, please inspire us.
Oh gosh. I mean, there were definitely some times, especially early on, where we didn't know this, we didn't know all of this. You don't know what you don't know, right? So there were definitely some fights outside of Mrs. Jones's house when we're getting equipment to bring inside. And then you go back inside and we're just all happy, but you're like, I hate you. So, there were definitely some hard times, but we had to actually, the biggest thing that we learned is stay in your lane, right? So I'm not allowed to touch QuickBooks. I'm just not good at it. That's not my forte. I'm scatterbrained. I'm not organized, whatever. And I just embrace it now. But back then I tried to help. I thought I was being helpful if I entered receipts, well, then I did it wrong. So it cost him more time because he had to fix it. So that was an example, but also like with technicians, once we started bringing in more technicians for the operations side of the business, I had to stop getting involved because I knew technical things because I had worked on the truck with Jeremy. And so I had to realize like, that's not my department. So that's you. If it's sales and marketing or admin related, then come see me. That's my stuff, So we also learned to kind of just work to our strengths and realize, that's him. This is my side of things. Also kind of being a really good reader of their energy and their emotion and their attitude for the time. So like, let's say it's a really stressful day. Maybe we've had a slow sales week and I know he's working on payroll or finances. This is probably not the best time to come ask him if I can do this sponsorship that's going to cost $1,500 for marketing. So it's like being a good reader of the room, reader of the people and their energy and their vibe at the moment. Like, let's pick a better time to bring this to him. Or if it was like a customer complaint or something, like if I can handle it and I can have my girls handle it and give him as minimal information at this moment as possible, let me do that because it's just going to stress him out. Why do I need to stress him out with all that energy, that conversation about it when we can just take care of it? So that was huge.
as you're saying this, I'm thinking social awareness. Like
Mm-hmm.
so many of us are just not aware
Right.
or we're so busy on our own agenda or tasks and to-do lists that we're not aware of what our spouse is going through or what's all on their plate. And I
Mm-hmm.
deal with this with my husband too, because once again, we're totally opposite, but we have totally different roles. I'm similar to you where I'm like marketing, sales, running the
Right.
company, working with the people, and I love being overscheduled Olivia half the time. And my husband is the finance guy and he's all about the details and he needs to
Mm-hmm.
go, no, A, B, C, D, where I'm like A and Z. Here you go,
Yeah.
buddy.
Right.
So navigating that, but I've known too, like I come home and I'm really like high on my day because it was so great and I had this happen while he's like in QuickBooks or in Excel
Mm-hmm.
spreadsheets and his mindset is very focused. So obviously if I go to him and I go to celebrate this news, I'm not going to get the response I want. He's going
Right.
to be like, okay. And I'll
Yep.
be like, well, why aren't you jumping up and down for me? Where's my
Yeah.
words of affirmation?
Right. Exactly. You're going to be frustrated. It's just going to, it might even cause a fight. Who knows? So it's like, so that was huge.
Right. So obviously working together, you guys sound like you're one hell of a team, obviously staying in your lanes. Did you develop a job task list for you and then he developed one for him and then you guys reference that? Or was it just like an unspoken rule, like this is what he handles and this is what you handle?
It was a little bit of both because we kind of just once we started learning about like our personality profiles, it became more clear that those were your strengths and weaknesses. So for me, it was just natural. Like I've always been a marketer. Before the job that I lost before we started the business was outside sales and marketing. It was just and I loved that job. That was like my dream. So it was like that was just a perfect natural fit for me. I knew that I wanted to do that part in the business. But I do feel like we definitely had some things where, we always had checklists and even our team, they all had a checklist for the week. This is what you do. And I had those and I know he had those too, or Google Calendar appointments with different tasks and whatnot. So I think it was a little bit of both. I think we just kind of naturally realized what we both liked and were good at, and then kind of said, okay, well then this is yours then.
All right. So my next question, don't mean to get too personal, but I do want to go into the personal life. So you're working together at the office. How do you turn that off? Or do you ever turn it off when you get home? And are you still driving into that, you as a woman driving into that masculine energy? Or are you going more feminine? Or like, talk to me about the relationship
Mm-hmm.
at home outside of the office.
Well, no, I mean, to be honest with you, when you're running a business together, like it's consumes so much of your life, you know? It's just you've always got something to talk about as far as like business. There definitely had been times where I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to deal with this right. Do we have to talk about this right now? So I feel like we did a good job of balancing it. Like we've always been really good friends too. And I mean, this November we'll be married 20 years. And I'm just like,
God.
I feel like when we first
Congratulations.
thanks when, when we first got married or met, it was just a natural, easy conversation. It felt like someone I had known my whole life. So, and we've kind of always, there's definitely ups and downs. Any relationship this long, you're going to have ups and downs. But through it all, I feel like we've always just been also good friends. So, and we have similar interests, and a lot of people get married young. I was young, I was only 19, and they grow apart, because they haven't become who they are going to be. Jeremy and I, we've always kind of grown together, and I actually feel like the business was good for our marriage. It was hard, but it was something that we worked together on. We built it together. And so we didn't mind talking about it at home. And it was part of who we were. It's part of our identity. We're entrepreneurs. Even now, we sold the business 3 days later. We're looking for something to do because, it's just who we are as people. We like to build. It's a challenge, and I'm not saying this in a boastful way at all, but when we sold the business, we don't have to work. That was a blessing. We worked so hard. Thank God. Thank whoever gave us this opportunity to do it. But 3 days later, we're looking for something to do. It's not for the money. The money's great, but it's like that's how we get a good feeling, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like that makes us happy.
And purpose and fulfillment
Mm-hmm.
as well. And you're
Right.
too young to retire and do nothing. You have so much
I know,
expertise
right?
as well to share with individuals, which is key. And it seems too, it's when I'm hearing you speak, it seems like there's a lot of respect for each
Mm-hmm.
other.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when working together, for whatever reason, and this has happened with my husband and I, he'll talk to me sometimes and I'm like, you would never talk to another employee this way. Why are you talking to me this way? Like, we
Right.
work together. Yes, I'm your wife, but you don't even talk
Yeah.
to me like that when we're not talking about business. So why would you talk to me that when we are talking business? It's like this whole other
Yes.
thing. So I feel
It's
like
so,
respect is so
yes.
important.
And it's so funny you say that because I mean, don't get me wrong. We're not perfect people, right? Like and we're not like all roses and happiness that we're here all the time. Like there's definitely still hard times. And we had similar situations to that too. Like I would say that same thing that you just said. I'd be like, just because I'm your wife doesn't mean you can talk. But we hurt the people closest to us, because we know they're going to forgive us. So it's like, but they might not one day. So it's like you just have to, keep that in check. And everybody is entitled to have a bad day and an off day. And I think also just giving people a little bit of grace, like if you did have a bad day or a long stressful day, maybe that's why they're snapping at you. Because like I said, it's easiest to snap at the people that are closest to us, but you just also have to like keep it in check and not do it too often. Because one of the things I like to think about, Jeremy used to do this meeting for our team because we had meetings every single morning, sales meetings for our team or ongoing education, technical, whatever it was. And one of the things he would talk about is the emotional piggy bank or deposit bank. So
Yeah.
like, if you're constantly putting good acts of service, gifts, kindness, whatever it is, into someone's emotional deposit piggy bank, then if you have an off day, then it's okay because, they can forgive you. You've put all this money in here, all this emotional positive stuff. But if it's negative, 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 yelling, I'm mad at you, you didn't do this right. And then, oh, but you're so beautiful or whatever it is, or here's the present. Like that's not balanced and it's off. The ratios are off. So I think if we can keep that in check and just constantly be trying to put as much in so that maybe when we do have that day where we're not feeling good or, we had a lot of stress or, my kids been hopped up on sugar and crazy all day and I snap at you, you're a little more forgiving.
Yeah, as you're saying that, I'm thinking of so many married couples that I know that have children as well. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes and more so the women actually treat the man like he's a child, which I'm sure many of them do act like a child. But some of the times when they're talking to them, they're talking down to them like they are a child, where there's like that
Yeah.
respect or they're constantly being talked down
Mm-hmm.
to. And then it's like,
Yeah.
then the wife wants them to be like, oh, I love you and you're so pretty and
Yeah.
you're so things. And so that emotional piggy bank, you're right, needs to be filled
Mm-hmm.
by both parties, not
Yes,
just one as well,
exactly.
too, which is super, super important.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you would add when it comes to marriage, whether someone's like newly married or maybe they've been married for 7, 10, 15 years, they're maybe considering get divorced? I mean, do you have anything that you would offer
Mm-hmm.
for someone that's married?
I think it's so easy to give up on stuff nowadays. People just, I don't like this job. I'm going to leave. I don't like living here. I'm just going to break my lease and leave, whatever. There's things that are it's so easy to leave stuff nowadays. But, are you looking for something to make you happy from an exterior standpoint? Or can this be fixed on the interior? Because you married this person for some reason, right? At some point, you saw something that you love and you wanted to build a future with forever. So to me, I don't give up easily. And maybe that's what makes me successful at business too. Like, I don't know, you can knock me
It's
down
not
10
an
times
option.
and yeah, it's not. So for me, I would say the biggest thing is I don't give up, and I also have learned to restrain my tongue. So if you're having a bad day and you snap at me about my driving, I don't need to quip back at you and cause a whole fight for this whole car ride. Like, whatever, let me just let it blow over your whatever. You don't like my driving. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So let's not be so quick to break up or leave, quit, and also restrain your tongue a little bit and think about what you're going to say. And is this really going to help my marriage, or is it going to stroke my ego right now? Right.
Right.
One of the other things I like to think about is you can be right or you can be rich. And I think that that applies to marriage too, because I can be right or I can be divorced. I can be right or I can be happy. So
Right.
I think and I'm not saying to get walked all over. That's not what this is about. If someone's treating you badly or doing something that's not okay, that's totally different. But if it's like little things and for the most part, you're pretty happy, like, let some things blow over, I guess.
Yeah. Loosen up, chill out.
Don't take everything
Like,
so serious.
yeah, take a deep breath and move on, sister. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about employees as well, because I know you manage 15 of them. You are a great leader. I know that you mentor people as well. You have a book about this. Well, not specifically about that, but being a woman in business. So
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about some tactics that have worked for you as far as managing your team members. So I want to talk about a little bit of like what's worked for you, what makes you a great boss, and people stay long term with you and retain employees. So if you can get us a couple tips for people that maybe own or manage
Okay.
people, it would be great.
Okay,
Well,
sure.
not that they own people. That didn't really sound great, but
I
they
knew
own
what
a
you meant.
company or
I
manage
did.
people.
The funny thing is, I just went with it. I was like, oh yeah, we own people. um, no, definitely. I mean, oh my gosh, employees are never easy. Wow. We've had some doozies, let me tell you. That could be a book. But I think for me personally, what probably worked was remembering that I am their boss. I'm not their friend. I never hung out with people outside of work. We did happy hours with the team, but we always tried to leave before the end of it. I think Jim Rohn says that, leave before they leave, pay the bill, but leave. So I tried to remember that I'm not their friend. And that's hard for somebody with my personality, your personality too. I'm sure it's like, I love people. I love hearing about your weekend. I love hearing about your drama. Let me try to help you with that. But once I learned that I should have a line there and there should be boundaries, I feel like that, it was crazy. People stayed longer after that. It was like, they saw me too close as a friend when I was like that. And I felt like that actually made it easier for them to quit because, oh, well, Stefanie won't get mad at me. She's my friend. She loves me. She knows that this is a better opportunity, whatever. And, maybe it was, but I feel like once I realized that I'm their boss and not their friend, it helped me also be able to get onto them if I had to, or talk to them about, you're late, or I'm sorry, but you can't wear that. You need to go home and change, kind of thing. Whereas if I had been more friendly with them and felt too close to them, it was hard to do that kind of thing. And I realized that I think they respected me more. I felt it. And they also pushed the limits less, because they knew you weren't going to take it. So having that line, those boundaries is good. And it's hard because everybody wants to be friendly and have friends and stuff. But I think you have to remember that you're their boss and we're here to make money. This is not a charity. I'm sorry if I can help you with something and help you grow, but if you're not doing what you're supposed to and you're not closing sales and you're not doing your checklist items, that's a problem. So I didn't keep people if they weren't doing what they were supposed to either. So we were also quick to make changes if we needed to for the greater good of the company. Because if nobody has jobs, we don't have sales coming in, then what's the point of this?
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
yeah.
Was there anything that you did on a monthly basis or weekly basis to build up the team morale that has
Mm-hmm.
been really beneficial for your company and helped with retention and just overall happiness of employees?
Yes. So we had meetings every single day. So the daily meeting was maybe like 10 minutes. And like I said, that was based on, sales training, technical training for the technicians, customer service, how to interact with people. We taught our team all the DISC profiles, personalities. They all knew their own and how to identify the clients so they could interact better. So we did that. We also brought team breakfast on Wednesdays because on Wednesdays we had a big meeting. It was 45 minutes and it included some like a larger training. We also would invest in different things like our business coach that we used. We had him multiple times. One of his coaches trained our team. We did like a year-long program one time with him. And that was a lot of time and money investment. Not only did we pay for it, but also our team members were at the office for 2 hours on a Wednesday listening to a guy. That's a lot of money that was input into them to help them grow.
Do you feel like they appreciated that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely do. And I also feel like a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm going to put all this money and effort into this team. And then what if they leave? I can't remember if it's Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar, but they always said, well, what if they don't? Or what if you don't and they stay? So
Right.
I think if anything, maybe it is helping them now. Maybe they don't work for us and they went through that training, because that was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. And, maybe some of those team members aren't here with us or at that company anymore. But, at the time we had high add-on sales, a good energy in the company, and they looked forward to it. Like, there were weeks where the guy had to reschedule and they're like, oh, no Santiago training today, like, so I definitely feel like they appreciated it.
Yeah, I think it's important. That's how I lead my company. I'm very much focused on the humans. The
Mm-hmm.
last probably 6 to 10 to 12 months, like our staff meeting yesterday incorporated learning like their shape and based on their personality and how they receive messages and communication as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
And then I had someone on my podcast that does a get to know me form for every new employee. So
Oh, I
she
love
gets to know what
that.
their favorite
Yeah.
color is. So, like, if she wants to buy them something for their office or if she wants to buy them coffee, she knows what kind of coffee they like, snacks, and things like that. And also, she gets to know what their strengths and what their fears are. So, if she doesn't want to put them in front of a room to do a presentation, if that's their fear, she doesn't want to
Right.
set them up for for failure and utilizing that. So, we did that too. So, I think what you're doing is super important. I think focusing on the humans and building them up personally so they can be better employees and better humans for not only themselves but for the company and for the customers. Just
Right.
sometimes I wonder, like, is it going in one ear and out the other? You never
Yeah.
know what the impact is, and if they get it today, maybe like in 3 years it's like, oh yeah, I remember why we did
Yeah.
that. But
Right. Yeah. And, also just, I know we're kind of getting short on time, but real quick, one of the things we do is recognize like somebody's weaknesses and strengths too. It doesn't mean that they're not a good fit for the company. Maybe they're a great fit for your company, but maybe they're not in the right position. So like right before we sold, one of the girls that was doing phone sales, I realized, you know what? She's not great at phone sales, but she's very good. Jeremy had her doing payroll. She was doing QuickBooks and stuff like that on the side. So I didn't want to make any changes because we knew we were selling. But I told the new owners, hey, if I was keeping this company, this girl, I would move her to admin. And the other girl that's doing dispatch and stuff like that, she's really good at phone sales. I'd put her in phone sales. And so they did it when they bought, a couple weeks later, they moved her and she was so much happier. It's like,
yeah.
she's a great employee. She's a great team member, but she was just kind of not in the right position. She could do it, but she wasn't great at it. And anyway, so kind of not getting rid of people if you can see like a way to move them if they're a better fit over here.
Yeah, I think that that's spot on. Just transition them within your organization.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of
Yeah.
times they just got hired to do a role because they either needed a job, wanted a job, or
Mm-hmm.
thought they wanted to work for your company, but they didn't really know what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
With our company, if you're either teaching or you're running front office, even though I've had some teachers that wanted to move over into the front office operations, but it's really just a different skill set, different personality, and just overall it's a different position. So it's kind of a challenge for us to try to, obviously retain those people that want to move into different roles, but they were,
Right.
but every company is completely different. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So if I'm managing a company or managing people, give me some good advice as well. Would be like a takeaway. This isn't your dirty little secret. I'm just thinking for
Oh, okay.
managers and owners that are managing people, what would be another point of advice that you would give them?
Mm-hmm. I think I would say you don't have to have it all figured out, just do what is right at this moment. When faced with a decision, I feel like a lot of us tend to overanalyze. I don't know what to do. I'm going to ask everybody. Just do what feels right and try to make the best decision at the time that you can for the person and for the company. I had a business owner message me the other day. She was saying that she had to let go of somebody that's worked for her for a really long time. And she was pretty sad about it and everything. And I said, well, sometimes the person that you let go can have a sense of relief because they know deep down this wasn't a good fit and they're just uncomfortable. And I said, so how did, he react or whatever? She's like, he was sad, but I do feel like he was a bit relieved. So I think sometimes too, just kind of like going ahead with, usually your first instinct is the right one. So not questioning yourself, just trying to do what you feel like is the best decision at the time. The girls would come ask me questions and I'd make a decision and, oh, you're so smart, Stefanie. You know how to do it. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I just made that up. I've never had to deal with this before, so I'm not quite sure what to do. So I just spoke confidently and said, do this. We're going to do this. That's it. You don't have to have it all figured out, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. And I I feel like a lot of things that you're saying about running a business and managing people is similar to parenting. Like a lot of the things
Mhm.
that you just mentioned, I think could really help what
Mhm.
I call CHOs, chief household officers, or parents, they
Oh
can run
yeah.
their households with a lot of the same mindset because
Mhm.
they're managing people, they're managing schedules. Every single kid has a different schedule, personality, social
Mhm.
needs. I feel like today children are all over the place, a
Yeah.
little bit different
That's
than when we were growing up, but they have so many other variables and struggles that they're dealing with that we didn't have to actually have to deal with, which is nice. So,
that's true.
anyway, so the parents out there that are listening that you're thinking this is all about business, I think you can
Oh no.
incorporate a lot of this into your households.
Running a business is definitely, we would say that a lot. This is like, I feel like I have kids before we had a kid.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to your dirty little secret for all of our listeners today. What is the best advice that you have for them?
So I thought long and hard about this one, and I really feel like it's okay. So here's a quote: live for 5 years like no one else will, so you can live for the rest of your life like no one else can.
I love it. And it's so inspiring as well. And that's what you guys have done.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's all this today's society is all about instant gratification. I mean, we just never were about that. We knew we were working for a higher purpose, a higher payoff, a higher satisfaction. There were times where some friends were going to Europe or buying fancy purses and stuff like that, and I just never did that. I mean, I still don't. I'm just not like that kind of girl. But
Me
you know what
either.
I mean? Like, I'm just saying it's not about that. We knew what we were working towards. And so we just kept going and kept going. And, some of those people are still running that rat race and running that cycle and that circle when they could have been much further ahead. And, you just have to like kind of build for the future and not look for that instant payoff right now.
I think that is beautiful. That's a great mindset to have as well. Because, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of us do want to keep up with the Jones, or we feel like we have some extra money so we could go and do this and go and do that. I think even with starting a company and being an entrepreneur, by having or that keeps you
Yes.
focused on
Mm-hmm.
the light at the end of the tunnel
Yeah.
and what you're going to do, and you make a lot of decisions today that are going to impact that future that you're going to have. So I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Stephanie, you have been amazing. And I know that you mentioned you and your husband have already jumped into something else, and I know it has to do with coaching and working with
Yes.
individuals. So if you could please tell me a little bit about that
Mm-hmm.
and how our listeners can connect with you.
Okay, great. So one of the main things we're looking for are people who feel like a slave to their business. And if you've been in business for maybe like 3, 5 years and you've got 3 to 5 or more employees, you might be feeling that point of pain where I can't go on vacation without somebody calling or texting me, messaging me, putting out fires, right? You feel stressed. Maybe you have a good weekend and Monday's rolling around and maybe you're feeling like, oh gosh, like who's going to call off sick today? Like that anticipation, that fear. I had it. I mean, I totally had it. If I got a text message on Sunday evening, I get PTSD right now thinking about it because I'm like, who am I going to have to fill in for tomorrow? So, if you're that kind of business owner, we have a program. It's the one that we used to build our company the way that we did, where we only had to go in on Wednesdays for our managers meeting, look at numbers. And if we were on vacation, I could get on a cruise and not have the internet package, and my business would still be running itself. And I would still be making money, and the checks would still get deposited. So, if you are that kind of business owner and you're feeling like that and you're just frustrated and looking for some help to put systems in your business and make it actually run so that you can go spend time with your family on vacation, whatever it is, or just don't get the internet package when you're on a cruise, right? For me, that's what it was. That was my thing. I did not want to buy it. And so anyway, if that's you, we can help you because it's the program we used to be able to do that exact thing. Um, like I said, we were only going in at the end of for the last couple of years, we were only going in on Wednesdays for like 45 minutes to an hour. And if we went in on other days, our team was looking at us like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? We don't need
Yes.
you. They don't need it. They
Oh,
liked that we weren't there. So,
yeah.
so that's
My man.
how we can help.
I absolutely love it. I think it's just great. Just to be able to go on a vacation without your laptop is a dream. I'm actually
Yes.
finally going to be doing that. Actually, we're going to celebrate
Yay.
10 years of marriage, and I don't have to. I'm probably going to take my laptop because it's such a long flight,
Mhm.
or I'm going to take some books, but I don't actually have to take my laptop this
Yes.
trip, which is
And see,
so nice.
that's the thing. If you want to work, do it. There were times where we'd be there more because we were working on something or we had a big marketing thing going on. But to not have to do it is different. If you want to bring your laptop, bring it. But
Yeah. And I think too, it's about finding those individuals that work for your company that you can empower and feel it. Like
Mm,
I've developed some of our team members where they're like, we don't want you here. Like, don't come to work or don't like,
yes.
I'm like, but I need to be here for you. No, you do not leave.
That's so
So,
good.
so for those that are out there that really want to get to that point, please connect with Stefanie. I'll have her information in our show notes that you can just click on. Do you have social media or a website that you'd like to plug as well, though, until
Sure.
okay.
Yep. I mean, you can always just look for me. It's just my personal pages are public out there. On Instagram, I'm at ChicaMarie83, and Facebook is just my name. But our website is skilllevelup.com, skilllevelup.com. And I do just want to say really quickly too, like there's a lot of coaches out there, but I can tell you that this program has so much more meat to it, so much more bones and helpful things. It's not just somebody, kind of having a phone call with you and saying, oh, well, what's your biggest challenge today? That's important and that is an aspect of it, but there's actually like real things that can help you today in your business.
And you have gone through the training, you've lived
Mm-hmm.
it, and you have proven success that after 15 years, or even before that, you were not having to work your business and you sold your business for millions of dollars and don't even have to work now. And you're doing it because you're passionate about helping individuals turn their dream into reality, which is absolutely amazing. So kudos to you and your husband. I'm so
Thanks.
proud
Thank
of
you.
you. I've been watching your journey, obviously, for over 10 or 12 years, and I'm just so proud of you. So I want to say
Thank
congratulations
you.
on the sale of your company, becoming a mom. And I just wish you the most beautiful day. And thank you for joining me and sharing all your knowledge with all my listeners.
It was fun. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Stroke It podcast. I hope you were inspired. I hope you're willing and ready to take some action. I want to encourage you to consider 5 people that could benefit from today's podcast. Super simple to share this episode. You never know who could benefit from hearing this podcast and how you could inspire them to create the change in the life that they're wanting. Cheers, and thank you so much for tuning in. Also, consider giving a